Hello all. Today we'll be discussing about how to connect your Java application with a wide range of databases. We call it JDBC or Java Database Connectivity. So we'll quickly have a review on how to use JDBC and what all are the features that are available inside the JDBC and what are the basic components of a JDBC API. Then we'll also have a small insight into SQL, which probably you have already learned in your database design course. Okay, so let's move on to the history of JDBC. So JDBC stands for Java Database Connectivity, and it is actually an API, which means an application programmable interface, which helps you to connect your Java application with a wide range of databases without any criteria on whether it is compatible or whether it is machine dependent or not. It is actually a platform independent feature. Okay, so you have something called a Java Database Connectivity Driver or JDBC driver, which actually makes the physical connection between your application and the database. So a JDBC driver is going to lie between your database and application, and it is going to help you in accessing the database. All the execution or connection part of the your JDBC will be done by this API, and which means all the execution, all the connection will be actually managed by JDBC API. Okay, so why JDBC? This is because before we actually developed JDBC, we had something called ODBC, which stands for Open Database Connectivity. This was actually coded in C programming language. So what is the problem with C programming language? It is a platform dependent language. Okay, so it is platform dependent, it is structural, which means it has got some kind of a structure and some platform dependency, which means you will have to change your application according to the underlying architecture. Okay, so this was particularly a hurdle when you had to transport your application to a wide range of uh, underlying resources. Okay, wide range of machines. In that case, you couldn't actually perform very well using ODBC. So that is why we had to develop something which is specifically useful for Java, that is called Java Database Connectivity. And this is platform independent, which means you don't have to change it according to the underlying architecture. This will function more or less the same as it does in any other machine. Okay, so let's see about what are the various parts of JDBC. You have four basic parts of JDBC. First one is that you have drivers which help you to connect with the underlying database. Second one, you have to establish a connection between your application and the database. So that is the second part, which is connection. Third part is you have to create some statements or some queries which will help you to execute something on the database. It may be for inserting some data or for deleting some data, to retrieve some data, to modify some data. All these can be done using something called statements. Okay, so statements are those part which is going to contain the actual queries which you are going to make on the underlying database. Then you have something which is actually going to be the after effect of your execution, that is the result set. Okay, so there are four basic parts: JDBC drivers, connections, statements, and result set. Okay, so API is a document that contains the description of all the features. I know you will be familiar with what is an interface. So here API is nothing but a document which is going to contain what are the features that you can use and what are some methods. It will also contain some methods which you can make use of inside your application. Okay. Then next is about JDBC drivers. So while we talk about JDBC drivers, it is nothing but a software which help you to attain the actual connection with the database. Okay, there was actually four types of drivers. The drivers were evolved in four ways. First one was that you had something called a JDBC ODBC bridge driver, which means you had this driver to connect between your Java application, the platform independent Java application, and the platform dependent database. So towards the database end you had ODBC, and towards the application end you had JDBC. So that was JDBC ODBC bridge driver. That was the first part of it. It has its own merits and demerits. We'll be discussing about that in detail. Then you had something called native API driver, which means a partially Java driver. Okay, then you had something called a fully Java version of it, which was called the network protocol driver. And finally, you have the best available driver, which is thin driver or completely Java driver. So let's see all of this in details. Okay, the first one, JDBC ODBC bridge driver. So here you can see there is a Java application. You have the JDBC API, you have the bridge driver here, and this bridge driver is connected to an ODBC driver because ODBC driver is going to communicate with the database. Okay, so you have a vendor database library, which means all those methods which you can use to access this database, that will be available in this library, and it will be connected with the driver. So the ODBC driver will execute the query for you, and the results will be returned to the JDBC ODBC bridge driver, and you will be having it on your Java application. So this part of it was the only Java part. This one was the completely native part, or the platform dependent part. So that is why this is called a JDBC ODBC bridge driver. Let's see what are the advantages and disadvantages of it. Okay, so advantage is that it is very easy to use and it can be easily connected to any database, because each database will be having its own ODBC driver. All you have to do is that you use your JDBC ODBC bridge driver to connect with the corresponding ODBC driver and get the purpose done. So that is the advantage. It is easy to use and can be easily connected. Disadvantage is that you have a performance degradation, because each of your Java code, the method code, has to be converted into a function call of the ODBC driver, which means it takes some time for converting all your methods into functions. Okay, then you need that inside every client machine you should have its own ODBC driver, which means it was actually leading to another effort of computation. Okay, so all these were the disadvantages. Next one is the native API driver. So here it is, the native API driver. You don't have a ODBC driver specifically. Here what happens is that it uses the client side libraries of the database, which means this native API driver knows how to convert your corresponding queries into something which the database can actually understand. Okay, so this is not actually written in Java, so but still you can work with Java. What happens is it will convert all the Java queries into something which is understandable by the database using the vendor database library methods, and then execute the corresponding query and return back the results. So this was about the native API driver. Okay, so it uses the client side library. That JDBC method calls will be converted into native calls of the database API, which means something which the database can actually understand. And it is not written in Java. What is the advantage? Advantage is that it was found that it had a better performance compared to the JDBC ODBC bridge driver. Disadvantage was that, again, corresponding to each of the database, you had to use its own native API driver. Okay, and you also should need a vendor database library to be installed on each of the client machine. So that was also the hurdles of using native API driver. Next one is the network protocol driver. You can see this one is the figure for a network protocol driver. This is going to use something called a middleware. Okay, so you have, this is your client machine, this is your database, something is there in between the client machine and the database, and that is called a middleware, which is actually responsible for converting the calls into something which the database can understand. This is called the network protocol driver. So what happens? The methods which are created, methods which are used by the Java application will be converted, will be communicated to the middleware by the network protocol driver, and the middleware will be converting it into something which can be understood by the database, and it will be executed, and the results will be given back to the middleware, which will be forwarded to the Java application through the network protocol driver. So that was the network protocol driver. Here you can see it uses an application server as a middleware, and it will convert the JDBC calls directly or indirectly to something which the database can understand, and it was fully written in Java. That was why it is called a completely Java driver. But It was the advantage part of it is that you don't have to use a no client library. Unlike the previous examples, the previous drivers, you don't have to install a database library in your client machine. Okay. It can be automatically done by the middleware, the application server itself. But the disadvantage is that this one is actually a network protocol driver, which means you have to ensure that your client machine and the server is always connected. Okay, so the network support was a mandatory feature for using network protocol driver, and you also had to ensure that the database specific coding was done in the middle tier, which means the application server knows how to code or how to query the database. It should know how to query the database. Then the third part was that it was really expensive to maintain this particular driver. If there was any configurations, updates or anything, you had to spend quite a good amount of money to make it actually happen, because this was something called a network protocol driver, which was actually a separate server which is going to work for you. So that was the third driver which we had. And last one is the thin driver, or which is under the most common use in these days. So this is the thin driver. You don't have any middleware, you don't need any bridge driver, you don't need anything. This thin driver is able to convert directly the Java database queries to query the database. Okay, so that is why it is called thin driver, because it is going to convert it directly to the vendor specific database protocol, and it doesn't require any extra materials or any extra support. That is why it is called thin driver. And it is completely written in Java language, which means it is platform independent. You don't have to install anything on your machine. Okay, then what is the advantage? It is going to have the best performance compared to all the other three drivers, and you don't have to install something in the client side or the server side to actually code the database. What is the disadvantage? If your driver is not correctly chosen, then it will result in a degraded performance. Okay, so that is about the drivers which you see. There are four types. The first one, the JDBC ODBC bridge driver, which was not actually in Java. Then you had the network protocol driver, which was actually written in Java. Then you had the thin driver, which is currently in use. Okay, so let's see how to connect your Java application with a database. Okay, so as I said, there are four parts. Okay, so we will ensure that all these four parts are actually made using 5 steps. Okay, so there are 5 steps to connect a JDBC connectivity or connect a database to your Java application using JDBC API. Okay, first one is that you have to register the driver class. So there are driver classes available in Java library. You will have to find out the corresponding class which is suitable for the database, and you will have to register with that driver. Okay, which means you have to create an object of that driver. Okay, and you make sure that it is associated with your program. Second one is that you have to create a connection between the driver and the database. Okay, third one is that you have to create statements which contain SQL queries or database queries. Okay, so that is the third statement, that third part of it. You have to create statements. By saying that statements or connections, we actually mean that you have to create a connection object, you have to create a statement object, and so on. Okay, then fourth one is that you have your statements ready. Now pass it to the database and get them done, which means executing the queries or executing the statements. Finally, if you are executing the statements, you will have some results. You are going to get all those results using a result set object. Okay, now you are done. All your queries have been executed. Your manipulations are ready. Now you can close the connection. So these are the 5 steps which you have to use for connecting your application with a Java database. Okay, then first one, registering the driver class. So here you have a method called forName, which is used for registering the driver class. This is a method which is available in the class. Okay, there is an inbuilt class called class, and it is the forName method is actually part of the class. Okay, Then it is used to dynamically load the driver class, which means it will be loaded during the execution. Okay, so this is the syntax. You have a forename class which is going to accept something, and that is a class name, and it is going to throw an exception, which is the class not found exception, which means if you are passing the name of a class which is not actually available or not actually present, in that case this particular method call will result in an exception called the suggested class was not found. Okay, so this is an example. Here you can see you are going to call the class, this is a static method, that is why you are using the class name. So here class dot forename, which means you are accessing the forename method. Then you are passing the class name. So which is the class here? You are going to pass the class name of Oracle driver class. Okay, so here you can see this is the class name of Oracle driver class. It is inside the Oracle, then JDBC, then driver, and inside the driver you have Oracle driver class. Okay, so you are passing the argument. Suppose if this particular class was not available in your Java library, then this will throw a exception called the class was not found exception. Okay, second one. So now your class is your register is ready. You have registered, and you have the register ready to serve your purpose. Now what you have to do? You have to establish the connection, right? So for that you have a method called get connection method. Okay, this is part of the driver manager class. Okay, so you can use get connection method in two ways. First one is that you can use get connection with the URL, which means if you are going to use a remotely available database, then you can give the URL there. Then it is going to throw the SQL exception, which means it was actually not there. That database is not available, or you cannot connect to that database. In that case, it will throw a SQL exception. Then if it is not open, which means you have to actually authenticate yourself to access the database, it is not an open database, in that case you will have to pass three values. First one is the URL again, then you will have to pass your username and the password. Okay, so that you will be an authenticated user, your arguments will be verified, your credentials will be verified, and then you will have to establish the connection. Okay, so these are two ways by which you can use the get connection method. Okay, so here you can see this is an example. So this is actually one single statement. I have written it as two because I don't have a space here. Okay, so here you can see you have the connection class. You are going to create a connection object. Okay, so connection, that is your class name, then this is your object name equal to, which is the method used, the get connection method, which is part of the driver manager class, right? So this is again a static method, so you are going to use the class name driver manager dot get connection. See, driver manager dot get connection. What is the argument that is being passed? You are going to use a thin driver, right? And it is from your own machine, that is why it is given localhost. Okay, so this is the URL. Then what is the username? System is the username. What is the password? Password is the password. Okay, so you are passing all those arguments. These two arguments will be verified and your connection will be set. Now connection object CON is having the connection. Okay, so that is your connection object. Now your connection is ready. Your driver has been registered and your connection object is ready. Okay, now what you have to do? You have to create this statement object. Okay, so statements are executed only inside a connection, which means statement objects will be executed as part of the connection object. We'll see how this is done. So create statement is actually part of the connection interface. Okay, so you are going to make use of that create statement. And what is the syntax here? See, public statement, create statement. What is it? It is going to throw an SQL exception, which means it is not a proper query. In that case, you will have to throw an exception. Okay, so this is an example. What you can see here, you are going to create a statement object. So statement space STMT is your statement object, and see what is happening here. What is CON? CON is the connection object which you have created just before. See, CON is your connection object. You are going to make use of that object here. Okay, so you are going to execute the create statement along with what? Along with your statement object. So the statement object is going to be connected with your connection object. Okay, clear? So that is why con is used here. Con is your connection object. You are calling the create statement method of this object. Okay, create statement method of this object and your statement object is ready. Now you have your connection object ready, your driver class is registered, your statement object has been created. What is the next step? You have to execute, right? So if you want to execute, it should be executed as part of a statement, right? Any query will be executed as part of a statement, which means you have to use the statement object for executing the query. Correct? You have to use the statement object for executing the query. Statement object is connected with the connection object. Okay, so this is how they are linked together. So next, what is going to happen? You have the execute query method. You are going to use the statement interface, and this execute query method will be associated with the statement object. Okay, so see here, see this example. What is going to happen? You are going to execute something on the database. Obviously, it is going to provide some results, right? So to store the result, you have to create an object of result set class. Okay, to store the result, you have to create an object of result set class. So here you can see you are creating a result set class object, which is rs. Okay, and see what is stmt? Stmt is your statement object, right? Stmt is your statement object. So you are calling the execute query method of stmt. Okay, you are calling the execute query method of stmt, and the result will be passed to the result set object, which is rs. Okay, and what is your query? You are going to give the SQL query here. See, this is pretty much your same format as you have in your database query. You are going to enter that query inside the execute query method as an argument. Whatever be the query, you are going to give it as an argument inside the execute query method. Okay, so if you have some long queries to be written and you don't want to use it inside the argument, you can make use of a string, and that string can hold your query, and that string object can be passed as the argument. That is also possible. Okay, so here you are going to give it like this. So what is the query? You have to return everything from a database called a table called employee. Okay, so emp, you are going to get all the details from emp. So what happens? All those details will be available in rs. Clear? That is how execute query works. Now what is the last part of it? You will have to close the connection. If you want to close the connection, all you have to do is that you have to call the close method with the connection object as the argument. So here con is your connection object, so you will be calling the close method as close. Inside it you will be passing con. Okay, so that is how you will close the connection. Let's see a quick review of some of the SQL. So SQL stands for structured query language. I don't have to explain more in detail about SQL because you already have done a course on database design. So I'll just let you ensure some of the queries that you can use in the Java application. First one is that about the database, you can create a database, you can drop a database, right? So the create statement which will help you to create a database. So if you want a statement to have a create database, then you can use this create database, this particular part inside the argument of execute query. Okay, so create database, whatever be the database name, you can give it. Then the second one is to drop. Okay, if you want to drop, again drop database, whatever be the database name, then the database gets deleted. Then you have the rename database, that is again, see, rename database, you have to use the rename database with its previous name and the new name. So this is the syntax: rename, whatever be the database, rename database is your command. This is the old database name, and then you have to use to, which means suppose if it was emp and you want to change it into employee, then it will be like rename database emp to employee. Okay, so that is it. Then that is about the database level queries. Now you have the table level queries. What can all be done using a table? You can create a table, drop a table, insert into a table, delete from a table, update the table, and even select something from the table. Right? So you know how to do all this, right? So this is about creating a table. When you create a table, you will have to mention what are the fields inside the table. right? So you'll have to say what does the first column indicate, whether it is an ID or whether it is a roll number, whatever it is. You will have to say what is the column value, what is the name of the column, and what is its type, or what is the data type of the elements that can be added inside the column. Okay, so that is how you use the table method. Then you have the, so this is an example. Here you can see, I think it is quite familiar to you, so I won't be explaining too much on this because it will lead to a lack of interest, I guess. Then so this is it. So you have the first name, which will be of a varchar, then a last name, then you have set the primary key to be id, which is an integer and cannot be null, and age also, it cannot be null, so you have to mandatorily pass some values to those fields. Then about dropping the table, what you have to do, similar to dropping a database, you'll have to use the drop table command followed by a table name which we wish to delete. Then you can use all these methods. You can insert into the table. If you're going to insert into the table, then you will have to specify the values for all the columns in the same order as they are going to appear inside the database. Then you have select, so that was discussed before. If you want to select some data and you have to retrieve the information, then you can use the select command and it will return the data for you based on the condition that you have specified. Then you have update. If you want to update something, again, if it is going to update, then you will have to set the new value for each of the columns that you wish to update. Okay, it is not necessary that you have to pass all the column values. Whatever be the column values that you wish to change, that particular columns can be selected and updated, and it will be checked based on some conditions. Then you have finally the delete, which helps you to delete some information. That is also possible. You can delete from the table name based on some specific conditions. So I have examples for all that. So that is about SQL. Today we have discussed about JDBC, which means Java Database Connectivity. What are the steps in connecting Java application with a database, how you can query the database, how you can get the results, how to close the connection, and what are the available types of drivers that we have to use while connecting with connecting your Java application with a database. So that is the summary of today's session. I think you have got an insight on what is Java database connectivity and how can you use it and what are the various steps of it. If you have any comments or if you have any doubts, please use my comment box. Have a nice day. Thank you.